Hey, what's up everyone? I hope you've been having a good week. I was tagged by Metal Nerd to do a new tag that was started by Nerd of the 80s, and it's about picking 10 of my favorite collectibles that are non-Funko related. Now, I do collect several different things, like I have a lot of Star Wars figures, I have a lot of G.I. Joes, I have a lot of Dunnies, but I'm going to leave those out of this because individually they're not as interesting to look at. Like, yeah, you know, a Boba Fett or a Stormtrooper is cool, but they're just not as interesting as some of these other things I picked out. So I hope you like some of these things I'm about to share with you. Oh, and before I start, I'm just going to say that you should definitely go check out Metal Nerd and also Nerd of the 80s channels. I subscribe to them myself and watch their videos regularly. I'll put links to their channels down in the description box. But yeah, they're pop collectors too, and they collect other things, and they're just basically huge nerds. So you should go check them out. Okay, I'm going to start out with this Ajax figure from the Warriors. It's made by Mezco. And I'm going to start out with this one, not so much because it's like this beautiful figure or anything, but it is one of the rarest things that I own. I got it at the Comic-Con just years and years ago. I used to have a friend that was an inker for DC Wildstorm, and she used to get me passes to the Comic-Con every year, so I used to be able to go in with a pro pass and, you know, not have to wait for certain things. I was able to get in a day earlier, which was pretty cool, pretty lucky. But I got this at the con, and it's extremely rare. I don't regularly check, but every once in a while I'll check to see what these are going for on eBay. And the last few that I've seen were going for between $300 to $400. So this is one of the most valuable things that I own. And they really did do a pretty good job with these Warrior figures. When you have them all together, they look pretty awesome. I kind of regret not getting all of them at the time because a lot of these are very pricey now. Like, I want to say this Luther goes for close to $100. One of the Baseball Fury paint jobs goes for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. These guys all, you know, they're in the $50s to $100 range. So if you do want to collect all the Warriors, they're kind of expensive, and this one right here is one of the rarest ones. Back in the late 90s and early 2000s, McFarlane was really killing it with their figures. They were coming out with a whole bunch of stuff, and a lot of them just looked very detailed, really awesome. And this is one of my favorite ones because I really love the movie The Crow. I used to watch it all the time as a teenager. It's one of the movies I've probably seen the most. I want to say I've probably seen the thing like 50 times. But yeah, this is Eric Draven, The Crow from the first movie. And this is part of the Movie Maniacs line. And as you can see here, I think this is Series 2. With the ghost face and some of these other ones like Chucky. But I think Series 1 had like Freddy, Jason, Leatherface, some of the more traditional horror icons, but this one had, you know, some pretty cool ones as well. But yeah, I really love this figure. It's really detailed. Let me take him out of the package and stand him up so you can really see how cool this thing is. As you can see, this guy looks really good once you take him out of the package. He's got an awesome paint job, an awesome sculpt, an awesome stance, and the two accessories you come with are just perfect for the character. If he had a more substantial base, he'd actually look closer to a statue than an action figure. Yeah, I was kind of surprised that the rubber on the guitar strap actually held up over these years, because I want to say this guy is close to 17, 18 years old, and you have to plug it into the guitar just like the way you plug in a real strap. So I was expecting that to maybe start ripping or breaking, but it held up really nice. And for being such old figures, you can still find these Movie Maniacs on eBay for relatively cheap if you're kind of interested in getting some of them. Alright, so if you're under 18, you should probably not watch this next one and skip ahead. But for everybody else, this isn't particularly very well sculpted or well painted or anything, but it is very unique in my collection because this is actually a porn star, and I don't think there's any other kind of porn star action figures out there. But yeah, the early 2000s were a very wild time in toys, and this was actually at the con when the rules were a little bit more relaxed, and me and my girlfriend at the time were just walking around, and we spotted this booth, and we're like, isn't that Stephanie Swift? Yeah, we knew who she was. And we just kind of stood around, and we're like, what's going on over there? And one of her manager guys or something was like, oh, hey, you guys, Stephanie Swift is going to be signing her new action figures if you guys want to line up, you know, here in 10 minutes. And we were like, you know what? Hey, that'd be pretty awesome. I want to meet Stephanie Swift, right? So we lined up, waited like 10 minutes or so. And when we got up there, we got to meet her and everything. So this one is signed by her. And this figure alone, it's actually kind of rare too. I looked up on eBay, and I believe one in really good condition inside the package with the red dress, it was going for like $40 or so. Not that anybody's buying it, but I only saw a couple of these listed. So I want to say that they're not very common. And this one is signed by her. I'm covering up me and my ex's names. Just, I don't know. Just seems like the right thing to do. But yeah, Stephanie Swift action figure. I played soccer for about 10 years, and I also grew up watching it. And it's definitely my favorite sport. And this was my favorite player. He is probably the most famous and well-loved and decorated Mexican player of all time. He won everything with Barcelona, and this is Rafa Marquez, the Kaiser de Michoacan. Really awesome player. He was just beloved in Barcelona, and if you know anything about soccer, you know that Barcelona is in the top probably 3 clubs that have the most supporters in the entire world. Really great player and really great era in Barcelona's history. So yeah, I really like this figure. And when I tried to look online to see how much he's worth, I really couldn't find anything. He's very rare. He wasn't even on eBay. I couldn't really find him on any other sites. The only one I did see him on was like some Japanese site, and it said $75, but I'm not sure if those were American dollars or what, or if it was even the 3-inch figure or the 6-inch figure. I don't know. So I'm assuming this guy is pretty rare. I have a lot of old comics, but this definitely was one of my favorites as a kid. It's not particularly well written or like super well drawn, but I mean, it's DC versus Marvel. This was like a huge event back in like, I want to say like 1995 or 1996. And it was basically about 2 brothers. One of them controlled the Marvel universe and one of them controlled DC universe. And somehow these characters end up fighting, and it's actually kind of fun to watch. I believe fans voted on the outcomes, like there was some controversial ones like Storm beating Wonder Woman and Wolverine beating Lobo, but it was very unique for the time, and it actually spawned a whole other Almagan universe where they merged the characters together. Like they merged Wolverine and Batman and created Dark Claw. It was kind of corny and cheesy, but a very unique thing that will probably never, ever, ever happen again in comic books. Like for these 2 companies to cooperate like they did. Here's a different cover. Yeah, like Superman fights the Hulk. Superboy fights Spider-Man. It's pretty cool. Captain America fights Batman. Like, yeah, if you ever see these anywhere in a comic shop, you'll probably be able to pick them up for just a couple bucks. I can't imagine these being too expensive because they made a whole ton of them. It's definitely a unique kind of piece of 90s comic book history. One of my favorite books when I was younger was Danger Girl. They weren't particularly original. They were basically just sexy female James Bond type characters, and the stories were kind of like James Bond stories. They were kind of cheesy, but they were really fun and really well drawn. Scott Campbell is an awesome artist, and he really knows how to draw sexy women. This is Abby Chase and Sydney Savage. They only made like 4 of these figures, but they're pretty awesome. Let me take them out of the package so you can really check them out. These figures look so cool out of the package. They also kind of give me an Indiana Jones vibe. Like Danger Girl is definitely just a big mashup of Indiana Jones, Tomb Raider, James Bond, Charlie's Angels. It's all in there, and it's all really fun and cool. They did a great job mimicking Scott Campbell's art style in these figures. They really do look like his drawings, especially these faces. They really do look like what Danger Girl looks like in the comics. They did such a good job. And these bases are really cool. They actually, like this one has actual real twine on here. I'm surprised it's not more bitter than it is after so many years. But yeah, a lot of really cool detail in these figures. And you do have to put this all together, so you got to kind of be careful not to mess up some of these pegs on here because they are old. I mean, this is old plastic. But yeah, really like them. Really, really cool paint jobs. Like, check out these little skulls. They look so good. One of the things I've been collecting for the longest time, I think since like 1997 or so, are DVDs, and I have a whole bunch of them. I think Blu-rays are cool, but my favorite format of all time is still DVD, and a lot of it is because of the packaging. I mean, I think the DVD quality was just as good. I think a lot of the times you put a DVD in, and people sit back and they're watching it on your big, beautiful TV, and you can tell them it's a Blu-ray, and they're not going to argue with you. It's kind of hard to tell the difference between a DVD and a Blu-ray, especially for like older movies. They look just as good to me, and a lot of them are cheaper, and I think just the packaging is far superior on DVDs. The first one I'm going to show you is this Blind Dead collection. I mean, look at this thing. It's a freaking coffin. How awesome is that? These movies are kind of cheesy. They're about these like 4 like ghost skeleton horsemen guys. They're pretty bad. But yeah, I mean, they come in a coffin. And the box art for these are pretty nice too. Like, check that out. They're all kind of cool like this. But yeah, this is something you really don't see on Blu-ray anymore, is collections like this. Really awesome. And this is Reservoir Dogs in a gas can. This is actually made out of metal. It's a gas can. The inside's a matchbook. I never opened this one because I have the regular version of Reservoir Dogs. So I just kind of watched that one. This one isn't, I don't think this is worth a lot of money on the secondhand market. But yeah, I just never opened it. But back in the day, I mean, look at all the extra features you used to get on DVDs. I mean, look at that. Some of these new Blu-rays are so bare-boned that it's just crazy to me that they're $32 and they barely come with any extra features. I mean, look at this. And look at this packaging. It's awesome. And this was $11.99 at the time. I believe this was 2007. This was kind of towards the end of a lot of the DVD awesomeness. I remember on Tuesdays, Best Buy used to have just a whole special table with just a whole bunch of new stuff. And I think what made DVD so popular was that a lot of people did have a good reason to update their collections. I mean, the jump from VHS to DVD was so big. So every classic movie that came out, man, you had to get it. Like, you saw a cool version of like Taxi Driver or Raging Bull or something, you snatched it right up. You don't really do that anymore with Blu-rays because the DVDs are pretty much good enough. So I think that's why Blu-rays, you just find new stuff. They're pretty bare bones packaging. I don't like the blue. I just wish they had clear cases because the blue doesn't always go with every kind of movie art. But yeah, really miss the heyday of DVDs. And check this thing out. It's the Evil Dead 2. Yeah, I still have this original box with all the special features and the write-up, but yeah, Evil Dead 2, and it comes in the actual Necronomicon, which is pretty awesome. And it feels really gross. It's like squishy. It does feel like human flesh. And look at that eyeball missing. It's really gross looking. But yes, actual book. And it's got several pages. And like scabs. But I think this is one of the best ideas for movie packaging ever. It's totally appropriate. It looks cool. It's well done. This artwork is nice and creepy. And I'm not going to read any of it out loud. If you've seen the movie, you know, it's probably not a good idea. But yeah, you got your chapters, you got your DVD, some special thanks, another gross burn scab. But yeah, this thing really feels cool in the hand. I mean, it's really gross. And one of the funniest parts about it is it makes noises, and it still works after all these years. Yeah, just really, really awesome packaging. They really don't do stuff like this anymore, and I wish they did. I got another McFarlane toy here, and this is the Mandarin Spawn from the Dark Ages line, which was one of the best painted, most detailed series of all the Spawn series. Really cool. Let me take this one out of the package, because this one does really look amazing. And look at how awesome this Mandarin Spawn looks. He actually doesn't even look like the Spawn character. He's just a Hellspawn from ancient China. And he looks just really awesome. Look at this shield. Just look at the design work in this. Look at the paint job. It's just all so intricate, so detailed. And I'm really liking these faces that they carry on throughout. Like, he's got them on his shoulders. He's got them on his head. He's got them on his legs and back. It's really awesome. And they gave him some big beefy feet so he can stand up. But yeah, there is just an amazing amount of detail everywhere. Look at his knees. Those faces on his knees. It's just some of the most intricate sculpting I've ever seen. And just a flawless paint job throughout. I mean, they really outdid themselves with this figure. Got more faces on his wrist there. And this weapon they give him, it's a 12-inch blade. Pretty awesome. And he also comes with a couple of samurai swords that you can put in his hand too. But yeah, look at that face. Look at how cool the sculpt is on his face. Super detailed. Just everything, like his gauges, his ears, his teeth. Everything looks so good on this guy. This is definitely one of my favorite figures of all time. And he's still actually pretty cheap online. They must have made just tons of him. But yeah, this guy just looks really, really cool in your collection. Now these are a couple of figures that are pretty expensive to buy online. I think if you wanted to get these now, you're going to spend over $300. But I also picked these up at the Comic-Con. And they're from one of my favorite animes of all time. It's only 6 episodes, but it's really cool. It's FLCL. And this is the robot that comes out of the main character's head. I have the red one as well, but this one is exclusive to just America, I believe. The light blue, which looks really awesome. I never opened these, and thank God I didn't, because at the time I think I paid 15 or 20 bucks for them, but they're very expensive now. And I did keep them in pretty good shape. But yeah, really cool figures. And this one is also one of the main characters. She comes with her scooter. The scooter looks really nice. Like, it was really hard not to open and display these because I really do love this show. And if they weren't so expensive, I would get a second one to open up and display. Because yeah, it's a really cool show. If you've never seen FLCL and you do like different kind of animes, you should check it out. But yeah, these are definitely some of my favorite figures. I'm starting to realize that my list isn't exactly going from 10 to 1. I have a hard time ranking things from favorite to least favorite. Just take this list as 10 things that I really love in my collection. So the last thing I'm going to show you are these metallic Evas from Evangelion. They have a lot of articulation and some of the coolest accessories. Like if you watch the show, you'd understand. I'm not going to explain it all, but these spears are really cool. This is Unit 0, and it looks awesome with this metallic blue paint job. And it's actually pretty flawless. If you look at it close, it's just really nicely done. These are nice, good-sized figures. But yeah, really cool accessories, really beautiful paint jobs with the metallic. And here's Unit 1. Probably the most famous of them all, and it does look really awesome with the green in matte and all the purple in this super shiny metallic. These just look really great. I actually couldn't find these online to see how much they're actually worth. I think I did find one of them opened up, and people were still asking quite a bit of money for them, so I don't know how much all 3 of these together would actually be worth, but I'm sure they're not cheap, and I definitely wouldn't sell them. But if I were to sell them, I don't know how much I'd ask, but they'd probably be too expensive for anybody to buy. But yeah, couldn't find these on eBay, couldn't really find them on any other site. So I'm guessing there's not too many of these left intact like this. But yeah. And my favorite Evangelion of them all is Unit 2. I love Unit 2. I love Asuka. It's the coolest one. It's the first actual perfect Eva, according to her. But really awesome. Looks really cool in red. And awesome accessories too. But yeah, really love these 3 figures. And you can't have 3 Evas without having maybe one of the best angels to fight them. And that is this one right here. Sachiel, I think you say his name. But yeah, this is one of the first Evas they fight. And this is a really cool figure too. Really awesome packaging. Comes with a cool base and everything. He's actually really, really heavy. I have a whole bunch of Eva figures, but these are some of my favorite ones. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed checking out some of my favorite collectibles. Yeah, I don't just collect Funko stuff. I've been collecting for a long time, and these are some of my favorites. I'm going to tag just 3 people that I know also don't just collect Funko, and they'll probably have some pretty cool things to show you. And number 1 is Franklin FM McGinnis. I'll put a link to his channel below. Number 2 is Reality Talk Reviews. I think he has a big collection. He'll have some cool things to show you. I'll put his link below as well. And I'm going to tag Vinyl Reviews. he collects a lot of dunnies, so I hope he puts some of those in there. And also Pops and stuff, but I have a feeling that he also collects things that aren't just Funko. So I'll put his link down below too. Check them out and look out for their videos. Hopefully they make one. You guys don't have to if you're watching it, but I just figured that you guys might have some cool things to show. Alright guys, take it easy.